Today I'm going to be showing you 5 key rules for organising your small workshop. If you're looking for ways to be more organised and be able to focus on your projects, then this video is for you. Rule 3 is a bit controversial, but I think it has merit, so let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree. Check it out. Hey, what's up guys? I'm Ben and I work out of a single car garage, but I'm looking to have just a little bit more space due to it being a bit longer than a standard garage. It measures in at 6 metres by 3 metres. Still a modest space, and as such I found that sticking to a few simple rules has really helped me to make the most of my space while maximising my workflow. When I first got into this workshop, it had a basic workbench setup, which was essentially just a piece of old kitchen worktop fixed into the wall with a couple of legs and a janky old shelf above it. Everything else was just floor space. As a result, the place was an absolute mess all the time. Nothing had a home and there was nowhere for me to put specific items. So it all pretty much just got dumped on the floor and then slowly migrated its way to the back of the workshop until I needed it next time. I decided to do something about it and salvage this old kitchen and worktops. Once I cleared some space for it, I laid it out as I wanted it and organised most of my stuff into the cabinets. This gave me scope to use the walls to store other items too. Since then, I built additional units such as my various timber racks, and I only ever have to look in one place for all those things now, and it makes the world of difference. If you have a place for everything, then developing the habit of returning them back to these places when they're finished is crucial. Whenever I walk into my workshop, the first 2 things I always pick up are my pencil and my tape measure. So as a result, I have a home for both of these items that I return them to every time I finish using them. If you always put everything back where it belongs, then you'll be able to find them again when you're working on your project, which saves so much time over rooting around for the items you need. P.S. This tape measure and this pencil are amazing. Links in the description. Now, this feeds nicely onto my next rule. If you keep like items together, such as sanders and sandpaper, then you'll always know where to look for them. I'm working on a few ideas to do this more effectively with some of my other tools, such as keeping all my drill bits nearer to my drills, but for now they still all live together so that I know where to look when I need a drill bit. Same for my routers and bits, finishes, shop rags, PPE, glue, screws, etc. Now this next rule might be a bit controversial, but hear me out. Now I know most people when talking about organising a small workshop extol the virtues of putting everything on casters so that you can move them around. However, I believe that if you organise your workshop in such a way that your tools all have a home, then you won't need to. There are a couple of exceptions that make sense to be on casters, namely anything that you need a long in-feed and out-feed for that can't go against a wall, such as a thickness planer, jointer and potentially a bandsaw if you're resawing long boards. I used to have my table saw on a mobile base that it came with, which is designed to be used on the job site. However, I found that in order to make room for it, I needed to clear out a load of space and then didn't have any outfeed and was awkwardly trying to locate it near enough to a power outlet, while also leaving enough room for the sheet goods I was working with, which was a pain in the ass. I also had this tiny little workbench that I first built when I got into my workshop, which was always being rolled from one location to another so I could make room for all my other tools on wheels. Not to mention my concrete floor has seen better days, so there's loads of dents and holes, which makes for a very uneven surface for anything that rolls around. So I recently built this outfeed table, come workbench, come assembly table, and permanently house my table saw on it. It's massive, and I was really concerned that it would leave me with much less space. But because I'm not moving stuff around all the time, it's actually given me loads more room and kept my workshop much tidier. Not to mention all the storage that it's given me underneath. Sometimes to make more usable space you have to take up some space first. It seems to me that any flat surface seems to attract stuff. As a result, I set myself a couple of rules to stop this from happening. Firstly, the top rule should always be to keep flat surfaces clear of things you aren't currently using or working on. That means whenever you come into your workshop, you can either pick up where you left off or get started on a new project. This sounds easy enough, but can actually be quite challenging, which is why I set up a buy rule. Which means that I've actually dedicated this small space here for putting anything that I bring into my workshop. Be it a new tool, instruction manual, box of screws, drink, or frame photo of Steve Ramsey. I love you. It means that I can put something down without the guilt of it being in the way or causing me any problems. I can then tidy or organise it when it's practical to do so, leaving the rest of my work surfaces clear for activities.
So many activities!
Now all these rules are fantastic for keeping your workshop tidy and organised. However, over time there will inevitably be an influx of stuff and clutter that comes in, be it your stuff, or if your space is begrudgingly shared with your other half and kids, then there will be their stuff too. There are certain things you should absolutely keep, such as salvaged wood and other things like that can be used on other projects. However, that old tin of paint that you used 5 years ago and your kids' paddling pool with a massive hole in probably isn't going to be much use anymore. So now's the time to get rid of it. It's amazing how much stuff you keep when left unchecked. When we moved into this house, I got this garage and we inherited some old tins of paint and various bits and pieces, which ended up living here for about 5 more years before I actually took the time to go through it all and get rid of it. I now set aside some time once a year or whenever I feel like I need it to go through all my cabinets and shelves and get rid of anything I don't need or that's no longer usable. It not only clears out the space, but it lifts a weight from you that can really help with enjoying your workspace and getting creative. So far, we've covered 5 key rules for keeping your workshop organised. So hopefully you'll have more space and time to fill it with tools and build new projects, which means you'll want to watch this video next.